My fiancée kicked me out of their wedding, claiming my facial scars would ruin the photos. So my dad dumped her, and now she's harassing us, leading to her arrest. I'm 16 years old and in high school. Lately, I've had a rough patch, mostly due to my stepmom-to-be. My real mom passed away when I was 6, and even though I was very young, I still remember how much my dad and I loved her. She was my best friend during the time we had together. I'm thankful for that time, even though it was brief. After my mom passed, my dad was devastated, though he tried to hide it. I could tell he was suffering, so I did my best to cheer him up and be a good daughter. Losing my mom brought my dad and me closer, and he filled both parental roles very well. My dad took on the job of both mom and dad without missing a beat, and I'm really grateful for that. He was always there for me, and no matter how busy he was, I never doubted I could go to him for advice or just to talk. He made sure I felt like he was always available, which stuck with me. When my dad started dating Emily 3 years ago, I was genuinely happy for him. He deserved to find happiness, and I was glad he was moving on. Unlike other kids, I wasn't insecure about it. I actually supported their relationship because I wanted him to have a life beyond being there for me. After all he'd done for me after my mom passed, I wanted him to take care of himself too. Most people in my family were surprised by how mature I was for being 13. They admired it. But there was one person I felt wasn't on my side: Emily. At first, I didn't have an issue with her. Emily met my dad through mutual friends, and after a couple of months, they introduced each other to their families. The first time Emily met me, she was sweet enough when my dad was around. But as soon as he stepped out, something changed. I didn't understand it at the time, but looking back, I can say for sure that her attitude toward me became indifferent. Once my dad returned, she was back to being kind and friendly. At the time, I thought it was just me overthinking, but it continued for years. It wasn't a huge deal, but she was acting one way when my dad was around and differently when he wasn't. It didn't bother me much, so I didn't say anything. After a year of dating, Emily moved in with us. It was awkward. She worked from home, and as soon as I got home from school, it felt like she was intentionally ignoring me. She'd act like I wasn't there. But once my dad returned home from work, she'd become a completely different person, friendly, acting like we were best friends. It felt odd, but I didn't say anything because it wasn't really harming my life. We both agreed to avoid addressing it to keep my dad happy. I quickly realized Emily and I weren't going to be close, and I was fine with that. Over the next few years, my dad believed we had a good relationship, but that was more her pretending than anything else. About a couple of months ago, Emily and my dad got engaged. They were supposed to get married last week, but things changed because of me. I still feel guilty about it. The day before the wedding, Emily pulled me aside and told me she didn't want me there. She said my appearance would distract from the beauty of the wedding and ruin the photos. She told me that she'd hired professional photographers and didn't want me in any of the pictures. I was a bridesmaid only because it was what my dad wanted, but I knew she didn't actually want me there. She just appointed me to keep him happy. I knew exactly why she didn't want me at the ceremony. My face had scars. A few months ago, I was attacked by a dog while trying to pet it. It was my fault. I saw a German Shepherd on a walk and bent down to pet him. I guess I startled him, and he ended up biting me in the face. The bite was on my nose and cheek. I had to rush to the hospital, and the whole experience was terrifying. Thankfully, I'm okay now. All that's left are the scars, which are healing slowly. While I'm still not sure if they'll ever disappear completely, they're getting better over time. I was really self-conscious about the scars at first, but my dad convinced me that they made me look brave, and that made me feel better. Most people have been supportive, but Emily definitely wasn't one of them. I didn't expect her to act this way, making me feel bad about myself because of it. When she told me that she didn't want me at the ceremony, I directly asked her if it was because of the scars on my face. Without even hesitating, she told me that my face was distracting and ugly, and she didn't want that in her wedding photos. She said it would ruin the beauty of her pictures. She actually told me to leave, and I wasn't supposed to tell my dad about it, because she feared he'd get mad. She was already stressed about the wedding, and she didn't want to deal with any drama. It was an incredibly entitled thing for her to say. I decided right then that I'd finally tell my dad everything. I didn't even care about the wedding anymore. It was obvious to me that Emily didn't deserve to be with my dad. I didn't want to confront her directly, so I agreed to stay away from the ceremony. I promised her I'd come up with a lie for my dad so I wouldn't get her in trouble. She fell for it. She even thanked me for being so understanding. I left the room and went back to mine. I knew the wedding was at a hotel, and my dad was already downstairs, so instead of searching for him, I called him. I knew he'd pick up, especially with only 30 minutes left before the ceremony. He answered right away, and I told him everything, how Emily had been treating me, how she'd been pretending to like me just to be on his good side, but she didn't care about me or our family. I made sure to tell him that I didn't mind if he went ahead with the wedding, but I needed him to know the truth before it happened. He didn't say much. He just thanked me for telling him, even though it was minutes before his wedding. He said he knew what he had to do now and hung up, telling me to stay in my room until he called for me. For the next couple of hours, I had no idea what was going on. I kept getting texts asking what was taking so long for the wedding to start, but after about an hour, they stopped. Everything went quiet. I tried calling my dad, but he didn't answer. When I tried calling his friends, they said they didn't know what was happening. Apparently, after my phone call, my dad went to Emily's room to talk to her, but he didn't come out. The only message his friends had for me was that the wedding was off. I was nervous, thinking my dad might be mad at me for ruining his wedding. I kept crying in my room until, nearly 4 hours later, he finally came to get me. When I asked him what had happened, he said I didn't need to worry about it. We were going home. I asked about Emily, and he said she wouldn't be coming back with us. They had broken up. He said it in such a matter-of-fact way, with no emotion, so I didn't know if he was upset about it, and he wouldn't talk about it. I think he was upset but didn't want me to feel guilty. I do feel bad, and Emily is making sure I do. She's been posting online, not naming me, but clearly targeting me. She's been saying I ruined her wedding and humiliated her. She's even made accusations that I faked our relationship, that I never made an effort with her, but in truth, she never cared about me, and it was her who was faking. I'm still feeling guilty, but I know I did the right thing. Now, I'm just wondering if I should apologize to her and my dad. I should have spoken up sooner, but I didn't want to make things worse. I was hoping I wasn't the one at fault, so I've been asking myself, am I wrong for telling my dad about Emily's behavior, even though it led to the wedding being cancelled? I told my dad that I wouldn't mind if he went through with the wedding, but I needed to tell him the truth before he made any decisions. On the phone, he didn't say much. He simply thanked me for telling him the truth, even though it was just minutes before his wedding. He said he knew what he had to do now, then hung up, telling me to stay in my room until he told me to come out. For the next couple of hours, I had no idea what was going on. People kept texting me, asking about what was taking so long with Emily and my dad, but those texts stopped after about an hour. Everything went quiet. I tried calling my dad, but it went straight to voicemail. I also tried calling some of his friends, but they said they had no clue what was happening. Apparently, after my call, my dad had gone up to Emily's room to talk to her and hadn't come back out. The only thing he had told them was that the wedding wasn't happening anymore, and that's the message they passed on to everyone. That's why people stopped texting me asking when the ceremony would begin. I was really nervous. I thought my dad would be mad at me for ruining his wedding, and I just sat in my room, crying. It wasn't until almost 4 hours later that he came to get me. When I asked what had happened, he told me not to worry about it and said we were going home. I asked about Emily, and he told me she wouldn't be coming back with us and that they had broken up. He said it so emotionlessly, I couldn't tell if he was upset. I still don't know, because he refused to talk about it with me. I guess he's upset, but he's not saying anything because he doesn't want me to feel guilty. But it's not working, because I do feel guilty, and Emily is making sure I do. She's been trash-talking me, and I can't believe a woman her age would talk about a 16-year-old like that. She's made several Facebook posts, not directly naming me, so I can't point at them and say they're about me, but I know they are. She paints me as this manipulative, terrible person, which is so unfair because I don't think I'm like that at all. She's been saying online that I purposely waited until the last few minutes before the wedding to tell my dad what was going on, that I wanted to humiliate her in front of all the guests, and that it was part of some evil plan. That's just not true. The only reason I told my dad what was happening was because Emily said she didn't want me at the ceremony because of my scars. She's also said that I was the one faking our relationship, and that I never really tried to connect with her on a personal level. I guess there's some truth to that because when I figured out she wasn't the person she acted like when my dad was around, I didn't make much effort to get to know her or get along with her either. But I thought that was because she didn't care about me or want to get along with me. I know she's really upset, and I feel responsible because I ended up ruining the wedding. I know I shouldn't feel bad about it, but I do. I feel kind of conflicted about what I did, and I'm wondering if I should apologize to Emily and my dad. I probably should have said something a long time ago, and keeping everything to myself until the wedding just made things worse. But I'm worried I'm only feeling this way because of my emotions. So, I'm asking, am I wrong for telling my dad about how Emily was treating me just half an hour before the wedding and having the whole thing cancelled, just because she didn't want me at the ceremony because of the scars on my face? Update 1. Hey, I just wanted to thank everyone for all the kind comments on my original post. I really appreciate it, and you all have been way too nice to me. After thinking things over, I've decided I'm not going to apologize. I really don't think I should after everything that's happened, and I don't owe Emily an apology. All the things she accuses me of are exactly what she's been doing herself. My dad has blocked her everywhere, so she can't contact him, but she still tried to reach out to me. A couple of days ago, she texted me and really laid into me for what happened before the wedding. It's been almost 15 days since the wedding, and this happened maybe 4 days ago, shortly after I posted my update here. She started with a text asking if we could talk. I thought, why not? I was still feeling guilty, so I agreed. That was a huge mistake. As soon as I told her she could call me, she rang me up, and then she and a bunch of her friends just started screaming at me, calling me the worst names they could think of. This went on for about a minute and a half. I was so stunned I didn't even know how to react at first. This is a woman in her 30s, and I get not liking me, but this was bullying, straight up. I didn't expect it, even after everything that's happened. I should have known better than to talk to her, but I let my guilt get in the way of my judgment, which was a huge mistake, and I realized it now. Once I got a hold of myself, I hung up and went straight to my dad. I told him about the posts and the phone call, and I apologized for hiding it from him. I didn't want to make things worse because he was already upset, but I kept hiding things from him, and that just always made everything worse. I didn't know how to handle any of this. We had a serious conversation about my behavior, and he told me I could come to him with anything, that he's here to help me and protect me. He reminded me that I don't need to protect him, I don't have to worry about him. He also told me I was the most important person in his life, and nothing would change that. I didn't have to worry about things like him being upset over something important. He said he was actually glad I came clean in time so he could avoid marrying Emily, because if he had gone through with it, things would have been much worse. What I learned from all of this is that I need to stop second-guessing myself and always be honest with my dad. He's the one person I can always count on, and I need to be open with him for both his sake and mine. My dad told me that he was actually glad I told him everything in time, so he didn't go through with marrying Emily. He said if he had, things could have turned out much worse. What I took from that was that I need to stop second-guessing myself and always be upfront with him. If anything, he's the one person who's always there to help me out of trouble, and I need to be open with him for both his sake and mine. After we talked, my dad decided to call Emily and let her have it. He was really angry about how she treated me. He didn't know about the posts she made, since he and his friends had all blocked her on social media. I was the only one still on her friends list, and she probably kept me there so I'd see all the nasty things she posted about me. I feel like an idiot for falling for it, but my dad made me feel better by saying I wasn't an idiot, I was just 16. He said that's something I could use for the rest of my life to explain all the dumb decisions I've made. So, my dad called Emily, and this time, he was the one putting her on blast. He texted her asking if she was free to talk, and when she said yes, he called her. He laid into her about bullying me with her friends and warned her that if she ever bothered me again, there would be serious consequences. He even threatened to report her to the police. After that, he hung up without letting her explain, because there was no explanation that would justify what she did. Update 2. I'm back with another update, just a day after my last one. This morning, Emily came to our house to talk to my dad, and things didn't go well. She still thinks she can fix things with him and get back together, even after everything she did to me. When she showed up, my dad didn't even open the door. He told her to leave because he had nothing to say to her. But she refused to leave and said she wouldn't go anywhere until she spoke with my dad. When I told her she wasn't welcome, she started yelling at me, saying it was none of my business, and that I should stay out of it. But this time, I wasn't backing down. This was my house, and she was on my turf now. I yelled back, telling her that she wasn't welcome here. I said that if she kept trying to ruin our weekend, we'd call the cops and have her escorted off the property. She didn't take me seriously and kept arguing with me like it would somehow get her somewhere with my dad. She was so stupid. She came here to make up with my dad, but she ended up picking a fight with me, something she knew my dad would hate. It was clear that she cared more about beating me than about fixing things with my dad, and that was sad. My dad had genuine love for her, and she was making a fool of herself by fighting with his daughter for no reason other than her own petty hate. After arguing with her for a while, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. She was impossible to reason with, and I couldn't even have a normal conversation with her. It was just too frustrating. She kept blaming me for everything, even though it was her own fault that the wedding got cancelled. I was really irritated and didn't want to fight anymore, so my dad and I just stopped responding to her and called the cops to get her off our property. She screamed and carried on after that, but we didn't care. We were done. Eventually, the police arrived and arrested her. I don't think she'll face anything serious, maybe just a slap on the wrist, but I hope she's learned something from this. She was genuinely shocked that we called the police, and it showed on her face when we walked outside as she was getting arrested. At some point, she realized we didn't care about her anymore and started screaming at me even more loudly than before. That was pretty brave of her, considering the cops were right there, and she just made herself look even crazier. She completely lost control and started cussing at me, which even surprised the cops. That's when my dad decided to press charges against her, even though that wasn't our original plan. But she had to be held accountable for how she treated me, and her behavior was just outrageous. Update 3. It's been about 3 months since the wedding was cancelled, and things have settled down a lot. My dad and I decided to take a trip to clear our heads. I'm on summer break right now, so we went on a hiking trip, something my mom used to love. I also enjoy being in nature, so it felt like the perfect getaway for both of us. We've been having a great time, and I'm really thankful that my dad and I are working on building a stronger relationship so that misunderstandings like the one with Emily don't happen again. At the end of the day, we're all we've got, and he's the only family I can really trust. I know I need to be honest with him and share important things with him instead of worrying about protecting him or hiding things. We haven't heard from Emily in a long time, and I'm really hoping it stays that way. I know it sounds harsh, but I really hate her. I know hate is a strong word, but I don't think it's strong enough to describe what I feel about her. From what I know, after she got arrested, she was let go, but she still kept talking badly about me and my dad. Honestly, I don't care about that anymore because it's just the kind of person she is, and we're better off without her. It doesn't even matter anymore.